audience. I assume they're the invited television audience, standing now. So the first question and answer about the state of roads. Just to say that last year's call-in, phone-in, attracted a record 3.25 million questions, according to the official website, and it lasted, wait for it, almost 4 hours. Not as long as it did last in 2015, when it went to 4 hours, 48 minutes, which was a record. As I say, it's his 4th time in this Q&A, question and answer session. So the television presenters just reminding the viewing public how they can get their questions in to Vladimir Putin. I would suspect they don't go directly to Vladimir Putin. Perhaps there is some sort of filter process in Russia as to what questions will actually get to the president. As I say, one of the big subjects, as you know, from watching Euronews and international news is, of course, the economy in Russia. There's also the question of the war with Syria, their support for the regime there, what's happening in Crimea, what about the West, continued sanctions against Russia. So a lot of international questions and domestic questions affecting individuals, but as I say, well, let's return to that first question, which was about the state of the roads.
Еще один сложный год своей истории. Санкции Запада, обвал цен на нефть, все это просто не могло не сказаться на российском.
So the presenter here just saying Russia has lived another difficult year. The first thing he says in this difficult year is Western sanctions. So nothing about the economy, but the Western sanctions hitting them hard, he said. Salaries and wages are down, but while President Obama promised to ruin the Russian economy, it didn't happen. So there's the first little arrow fired at the West, and that in the form of, or I should say the US, the first little arrow fired at the West and the sanctions, and secondly then mention of President Obama failing to ruin the, to quote the presenter, ruin the Russian economy. So people obviously worried about their family budget. Many people have started to save on many things. Just to go back on the economy, to give you some about the economy and family budgets. He's saying one question came in about family budget and inflation. The government is saying one thing. Who should I believe? Vladimir Putin is saying you should believe the government because when the government talks about inflation, it's taking the average across a number of goods, not just household goods. So, the individual, the family budget, he's saying, and the inflation that this questioner sees is different from the inflation which is seen on a national scale. Vladimir Putin saying that we estimate in the 3rd quarter of this year the price of some items, especially food, will even be down. So, good news there. Don't disbelieve the government, he says, when he says 12.5% is the level of inflation, because we're talking about the average. So food prices, Vladimir Putin saying, set to come down later this year in Russia. It needs additional investment. It needs some time for modernizing our agricultural production. I think the problems with food supplies is temporary. And with time, the situation will improve when our farmers and our producers get more opportunities, more investment. When the competition will be high, the prices will come down. So at the moment, in brief, to sum up, he knows it's difficult now, but look at this future. Look at how we're going to bring the prices down. And a question here, what are you saving on, Mr. President? You know, households are having to save. So, Mr. President, what are you doing? What's your average overall assessment of the Russian economy? Where are we now?
И скажу почему. Потому что ситуация, она еще не исправилась, но все-таки...
So he's asked, can you put it in black and white? Is it black or is it white? And Vladimir Putin says, at the moment the economy is grey. It's not back to being up, it's not back to growth, but the negative trends we have managed to stop. There will be still this year a downturn, a downfall, but only 0.3%. And from next year, we will witness economic growth. Not much, a slight growth. So this year, the GDP will be slightly down, so the GDP down slightly this year, but next year the President is saying we will see moderate growth, but it will be an improvement compared to the last couple of years. So asked to put it in black and white, is it black or is it white, the economy? It's grey. GDP down slightly this year, moderate rise. So just saying that individually families, 4% drop, he reckons, in their salaries, wages. It's really down. In fact, more than 4%. However, we have to talk about the positives. And he's just bringing up unemployment. He's saying the unemployment of unemployment is only 3.4%. Compare that to other countries, it's not a lot. He says slightly up from last year, but it's not. To the high level of more than $400,000 billion. So that's same level as 2014. So he's saying we see a lot of positives. So the phone-in will continue. We'll be coming back to it live, and we'll keep you up to date with what Vladimir Putin is telling the good citizens of Russia and answering their questions. Do stay with us on Euronews.